It's the second day of the SCO Foreign Ministers meet, which is taking place in Goa in India, and the main meeting of the foreign ministers currently is underway. External Affairs Minister of India, Dr. Jaishankar, in his opening remarks, took on terrorism and labelled it as a major threat that continues unabated. He also spoke about the situation in Afghanistan and that the welfare of the people are a key priority. Other global issues like the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine are also likely to be discussed. During the photo op, the visuals that we're putting out, Pakistan's Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto and the External Affairs Minister of India, Dr. Jaishankar, held a quick and formal interaction.
As SCO Chair, we have initiated an unprecedented engagement with SCO observers and dialogue partners by inviting them to participate in more than 14 socio-cultural events. With more than 40% of the world's population within the SCO, our collective decisions will surely have a global impact. We firmly believe that there can be no justification for terrorism and it must be stopped in all its forms and manifestations, including cross-border terrorism. The channel of finances for terrorist activities must be seized and blocked without distinction. Members need not be reminded that combating terrorism is one of the original mandates of the SCO. The unfolding situation in Afghanistan remains at the center of our attention. Our efforts should be directed towards the welfare of the Afghan people. Our immediate priorities include providing humanitarian assistance, ensuring a truly inclusive and representative government, combating terrorism and drug trafficking, and preserving the rights of women, children, and minorities. SCO is in its third decade of existence, and this is an opportune time for its reform and modernization to keep the organization relevant in a rapidly transforming world. I assure you that India will extend its constructive and active support for this process. I also seek the support of member states for the long-standing demand of India to make English as the third official language of the organization. This will enable a deeper engagement with English-speaking member states of the SCO and will take the work of this organization to a wider global audience. I'm delighted that 4 new dialogue partners will sign the MOU for their association with SCO today in Goa. We welcome our new dialogue partners and hope to intensify engagement with them in the SCO format. I'm confident that today's meeting would lead to fruitful discussions which would help in sustaining the momentum of our cooperation.
Let's also now bring in our colleagues who are joining us from Goa in India, where this meet is currently on. We have Anand Narasimhan joining us. We also have Abhishek Jha joining us. Anand, coming to you first. Day 2, a lot to look forward to as far as India is concerned and how the groundwork is going to be laid for the eventual summit in July. But they say for diplomatic events, a lot is read as far as the body language is concerned. Today, when we saw the External Affairs Minister of India, Dr. Jaishankar, meeting his counterparts, there was just a namaste, no handshake. How should that be seen as the position that India has taken?
Well, there is nothing wrong as a position. I think Namaste is the best way because this is the original way that I bow to the divinity in you. That's what Namahate or Namaste means. And this is the formal greeting of Bharat. And in Sri Lanka, if you go, it is Ayubhavan and it's not a handshake. So Namaste is in this region practiced by very countries. Even in Thailand, Namaste is the official form of greeting and it's a respectful form. All nations actually use Namaste today. Bilawal Bhutto actually, when he was walking in, he did Namaste, and as he walked out, he kept his hand here and he said thank you very much. But when they took the picture, neither Dr. Jaishankar nor Bilawal Bhutto took a picture with Namaste. Chingan actually did folded hands like this and did not do the Namaste. But all the other member nations, all the others who came there, did the Namaste, and we have all the pictures to prove. The other aspect is this formal handshake. So this actually tided over the aspect of will India and Pakistan shake hands with some of the other nations who have issues with each other, will they actually shake hands? So this shake hand movement will not happen. So that was also avoided. So that's the other aspect. But the optics showed very clearly that where India showed a certain level of equanimity. There are certain nations who decided to change their posture. So when you have nations which change their posture, so should that be defined as far as their attitude towards India or India's attitude towards them? So that's a simple point, that everybody did Namaste. It's a healthy way in these COVID times too. And it only means that I bow to the divinity in you, and I bow to all of us, that who all of us are connected as humanity, and that energy or that divinity that collects all of us as human beings. So that's the philosophical thought. There is a strategic and an optic aspect also, and there is the health aspect, because during COVID times all world leaders were doing Namaste, so they practiced it all. So we can look at it however we want to look at it. But those who did not do it, their perspective is what needs to be should be talked about.
True. Abhishek, bringing you also in the conversation, before we get it talking about the fine print as far as the statements that we've already heard from our External Affairs Minister, where he's gone on to say that let's not get caught up in weaponizing terrorism just for making brownie points as far as diplomatic relations are concerned. Just help our viewers understand what we can expect as far as day 2 is concerned.
So see, there are a couple of things that this SCO meeting is going to discuss about. First is the expansion of the grouping, where 4 or 5 new members are going to be the dialogue partners, 2 new permanent members are going to be included, Iran and Belarus. Also, while elaborating the regional connectivity issue, Pakistan Foreign Minister Bilal Bhutto looked like pitching for China-Pakistan economic corridor, where he said that regional connectivity could be enhanced if China-Pakistan corridor would be given a push, and that can actually link up the long pending regional connectivity issue for which the SCO member states have been working very hard for a very long time. Clearly, this is not something that India would want, because to some extent this China-Pakistan economic corridor violates India's sovereign territory as well in the Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. And as Jaishankar, while mentioning about the regional connectivity issue, clearly said that anything on the regional connectivity issue should also respect the sovereignty and the territorial integrity of other nations. So while all the nations, all the member states are one for the commonality and common growth and prosperity, regional connectivity and everything, they are also trying to push for their own interest as well. And this is very much evident in today's meeting.
Yeah.
Beyond that, we'll get to know more what transpired in the meeting, because in the evening, most likely External Affairs Minister Jaishankar will be having a media interaction where all the media has been invited. Clearly, Pakistani journalists will be also there, and journalists from other member nations will also be there. And there we will get to know what all has been transpired. The questions will be asked, and we'll get to know more on the meetings.
Sure. Quickly going back to Anand as well. Anand, just that big takeaway that we heard from our External Affairs Minister, where he said, let's not get caught up in weaponizing terrorism just because we want to make a diplomatic point or just for diplomatic point scoring. This is going to be crucial even as we move towards July, where the main summit is going to take place. And this is what we've been seeing since yesterday. A lot of the groundwork is going to be done in this meeting. What is the kind of messaging that India is sending out? Also, what we can expect as we head towards the larger summit in July?
Well, this aspect of weaponizing terrorism as a diplomatic tool was actually made by Bilawal Bhutto, and in his speech he tried to use this statement, trying to pass a jibe at Dr. Jaishankar, because Dr. Jaishankar said that counter-terrorism was one of the core issues of the SCO. And nations that are harboring terrorists or for fomenting terrorism, there has to be some active position that needs to be taken. So this aji-baji that's happening there is an important aspect. India is not using terrorism as a diplomatic tool. It's a sovereign aspect. See, Pakistan continues to supersede India's sovereignty when it comes to, when it openly talks about CPEC on an SCO forum. Yes, the SCO Secretariat is in Beijing. It is a Shanghai Cooperation Organization, so China is leading it. But India is the chair. If you do not respect my sovereignty, how do you expect me to even consider anything that you say seriously? That is the important point of view that one must understand. Dr. Jaishankar only said all nations are finding terrorism as a problem. All nations need to act on terrorists. All nations need to say that there will be no good terrorists, bad terrorists, and clearly focusing on the fact that terrorism, a state that is a haven of terrorism cannot be. Pakistan tried to deflect it. It told India don't use it as a diplomatic tool, while Pakistan itself called Afghanistan a sponsor of terrorism. and terrorist activity from Afghanistan soil. So you can't beat the drum from both sides and then claim to be holier than thou. That was not. So that's why I'm saying Bilawal Bhutto and the ISI, which must have drafted the speech, the deep state which would have drafted the speech, vetted by the Chinese, has shot themselves in the foot on multiple points. India was very clear. India said, we do not back terrorism anywhere. One. What did India talk about? India talked about cooperation and platforms for cooperation. What did India say? The New Delhi summit in July 3rd and 4th is going to be a big resolution, 4 big resolutions. One on de-radicalization. Radicalism is a problem everywhere. And de-radicalization is something which they have looked at very actively, and that's why he's saying they're calling on the SCO forum to pass a resolution on de-radicalization.
Okay.
The second aspect is food grains, millets, and what can be done for millets. Third one is on sustainable future together, and the fourth is digital transformation. So look at the objectives which can be where common grounds can be found. India is pushing for those objectives where common grounds can be found. India is also looking at climate change, and that's why it's talking about sustainable development. So India's position is, let's use the fora for what it actually stands for and do what it means. Other nations have come there and also tried to take push their own agendas, yes, but they've also taken a larger point that this region needs to cooperate and work, cohabit, irrespective of conflicts, because trade and economical prowess is what is going to allow the Asian surge to happen and for Asia to truly represent the global south.
Okay.
40% of the world's population is here.
Yeah. Anand and Abhishek, we leave the conversation there. We'll of course continue to come back to you right through the day as we track all those events coming in from day 2.